Hello my bananas. Today we have two stories. First story title. My parents planned to give my sister the earrings meant for me. This story is really strange. When I was 20 years old, I was in a complicated relationship with a guy, now 40. We were together on and off for almost 5 years. He always said he wasn't ready for a serious relationship, and I always told him I was really in love with him. Whenever I got tired of the situation and wanted to leave, he somehow convinced me to stay, talking about how love should be free, we had spent so much time together, and he wasn't ready to commit. I once asked my sister, now 42, for advice and she suggested some bad ideas like making him commit slowly, leaving my things at his place, and trying to turn him into a boyfriend before it was too late for him to back out. I never did that because I wanted him to love me as much as I loved him, not to trap him. The last night I spent at his place, he said he wanted to try for something more serious and even talked about planning some dates. But then he disappeared completely. It was very painful. He was the first person I loved and he treated me badly. 6 months later, my sister, who still lived with our parents, announced she had a new boyfriend who she thought was the one. She had had many boyfriends before, but this time she said it was different. They planned a dinner at home just with my parents, so I wasn't included and was expected to just go out or stay in my room. That evening, while they were having dinner, I ordered a pizza and when I went downstairs, I was shocked to see that my sister's new boyfriend was the same guy I was with 6 months ago. I paid for my pizza and went back to my room to cry. After dinner, I confronted my sister in front of our parents and pleaded with her not to be with him, to be loyal to me, her younger sister. There was no way she didn't know who he was. I had shown her his pictures, his social media, and even told her where he worked. They had never met because he didn't want to meet my family or introduce his, but she definitely knew who he was. She had purposely left me out of the dinner because she knew. She claimed they met by chance after he and I stopped seeing each other. She knew how tough the breakup was for me and how much it hurt to not even have closure. He just stopped replying. She knew I was still hurting 6 months later. I realize now it was my fault for being too naive, thinking if I stayed long enough, he would be ready for the relationship I wanted and would learn to love me. I know it was foolish. She defended herself, saying it was just a coincidence and they really hit it off. She loved him and wasn't going to give up the love of her life, saying that kind of love only happens once. In my early 20s, I might have believed that, but now I understand that with over 8 billion people in the world, there isn't just one love of your life. You can find love many times if you look for it. My parents took her side and told me to move on since we were never officially together. A year and a half has passed, and I've been left out of many family events because he would be there, and my family thinks I'm still upset about everything. I don't have feelings for him anymore, but I do feel betrayed by my sister and my parents. He means nothing to me now. My sister is 6 months pregnant and, because of her age, my parents are really spoiling her. She still lives at home and plans to move in with him about 2 months after the baby arrives, and then they're going to get married. In our culture, it's normal for a new mother to move back in with her mom so she can help with the newborn. Last week, my sister's friends threw her a surprise baby shower. I was at home and tried to talk to them, maybe because my sister and I used to be so close, and I'm sad we're not friends anymore. But her friends ignored me, answering with just, yes, no, or silence, as if I caused all this trouble, or I was trying to break up a home, or I had tried to seduce my sister's partner. I was already planning to move out. I had been saving money. But after the baby shower, I immediately went to stay with a friend. Now, I'm looking for my own place. 2 days ago, my parents called me, asking to talk. I went over, and they told me that the diamond earrings my grandma left me would be given to my sister instead. These earrings have been in our family for 4 generations. Before she died, my grandma made it clear that the earrings were for me and that my sister would get a gold necklace. Grandma trusted my parents to give them to me when I was old enough to appreciate and care for such an important family heirloom. Now, because my sister is getting married first and having the first great-grandchild, my parents think she should have the earrings. I'm furious. They are taking away something my grandma meant for me. I don't think my parents are completely bad. I believe they were worried my sister wouldn't marry because of her age. Again, in our culture, a single woman in her 40s is a concern for the family, and now that she's starting a family, they want to give her everything. But I was closest to my grandma. She was clear that the earrings were for me, not just for whoever married or had a child first. After 2 years of being overlooked for my sister, I gave my parents an ultimatum: they return the earrings as grandma wanted, or I will cut ties with them forever. The thought of cutting off my family is incredibly painful, but I feel they've wronged me so much already. I don't want them in my life anymore. It may seem trivial to argue over this, but these are the only things my granddad left, and they are not theirs to take. Update. Yes, I managed to get the earrings. After sharing my story, I went to my parents' house, opened the safe, took the earrings, and left. Later, I returned to tell my parents I needed time to sort things out and find myself. I handed back the house keys and told them I was leaving for good. My mom was upset, saying she couldn't believe I had become such a bitter person. She accused me of turning my back on the family over something trivial and said it was shameful for me to leave the family home unmarried. It was clear then that her concerns were more about social expectations than about loving me. My dad was calm, gave me a hug, and wished me luck. For 2 months, I had little contact with my family. I found a new place, focused on healing, and enjoyed decorating my new home. Then, suddenly, everything escalated. During those months, only my dad checked in with me weekly via text. Meanwhile, my sister's boyfriend, also my ex, started following me on Instagram again. He liked my posts and responded with heart emojis and comments like "looking good." This happened a few times. Then, I received a furious voicemail from my mom accusing me of pursuing a man who was engaged and stressing my sister so much that her blood pressure skyrocketed. She called me a heartless seducer and said I was seeking revenge on my sister. Later, I found out from a cousin that my sister had seen messages on her fiancé's phone to several women, including me, which led her to complain to my mom. Less than a week later, another voicemail from my mom demanded to know where the earrings were. After searching and not finding them, she accused me of theft and dishonored me, saying I was no longer considered family. She threatened legal action. My dad later texted to reassure me that no legal action would be taken. At the end of the month, my cousin, who loves to gossip, told me my sister had given birth. Despite everything, I went to the hospital with a gift, wearing the earrings. I was kicked out, but it felt worth it. I've decided I won't see most of my family again, though I might stay in touch with my dad. My cousin also mentioned that my sister is getting married in May. It seems she'll have her happy ending. As for me, I'm truly living my best life now. Second story. Title: Am I the A for denying neighbors access to my yard? I, F26, recently bought a beachfront house with my husband. The main reason we chose it was the backyard. It's like a hidden oasis with a pool, hot tub, water fountains, and a small slide, all surrounded by trees. These trees provide privacy from our neighbors while still allowing us a view of the beach. It's such a beautiful spot that we spend most of our time there, even when my husband is working from home. The back of the house is mostly glass, so the backyard is always in view. Yesterday, we began installing a new fence around the backyard, with a gate opening only to the beach. This means the only ways into our backyard are through the house or from the beach. We hadn't thought much of it until this morning when a woman from the condos across the street knocked on my door. We'd seen each other before but hadn't really spoken. She introduced herself and asked about the construction. I explained we were putting up a fence to keep out tourists, as recommended by our realtor. She seemed surprised and asked if we were adding a gate at the front. I told her no and mentioned our plans to add more plants for privacy. She then asked if we could install a front gate, which confused me. She explained that the previous homeowners let condo residents cut through the yard to reach the beach, saving them a 5-minute walk to a busier tourist spot. This had become a common shortcut, especially for families with kids. They'd even let people use their pool if they asked. I told her firmly that I wouldn't allow people through my yard unless I knew them personally. She was visibly upset and warned that many condo residents would be disappointed. She argued that this shortcut was a big part of many people's routines, especially for children who wanted a quieter beach area. I grew frustrated and reiterated that my yard was off-limits. She brought up the pool, but I ended the conversation there. By yesterday afternoon, I noticed people from the condos pointing at our house and discussing the fence. Someone even approached me to confirm if I was indeed blocking the shortcut to the beach. My neighbors support my decision, but my friend and sister think I'm being unreasonable. Update. I'd like to clarify a few things. We do have a fence around our pool for protection, and our house is equipped with both visible and hidden indoor and outdoor cameras. We also have signs indicating that we are recording. The new fence will be completed by tomorrow afternoon, so it won't be long until it's fully up. I've spoken with local police, and they confirmed that no one has the right to use private property to access the beach, so we're clear to proceed. The previous owners, who had the house for 10 years and allowed access only in the last 3, used it as a vacation home. They told me after speaking with my realtor that they let people cross during the summer but put up signs asking not to use the path when they were present. Despite their initial reluctance, trespassing occurred in their absence. They also restricted pool use to when they were present and covered the pool before leaving. They even advised us that installing a fence was a wise decision and suggested contacting the condo manager. When I contacted the condo manager, they hinted that the path through our yard had been used as a selling point for the condos and asked if we could compromise. However, my husband and I are having our lawyer send a letter to the condo, making it clear that no resident is allowed on our property. This decision to restrict access might not be popular, but as permanent residents, not just vacation homeowners, my husband and I need our privacy. Many of our neighbors have expressed support, glad that we're cutting off the shortcut. We've installed no trespassing and no beach access signs, are adding a privacy fence and more trees in front, and connecting our gate directly to our neighbors to close any gaps. We're committed to maintaining our privacy, regardless of how the condo residents feel. Thanks again for all your advice.